Well, welcome everybody. This is Sherry Ristau. As most people know, I'm the president, CEO of the Quad Cities Community Foundation. Here to welcome you and thank you for joining us for our fourth live stream. I was just telling the gang that it still feels pretty new to me, so I hope you'll bear with us. It might be a little clinky along the way, but we're just going to have some fun today. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Kelly Thompson. Kelly is our Vice President of Grant Making and Community Initiatives, and Ann Calder, our Vice President of Development, and Michelle Payne, our Vice President of Finance. We make up the executive team at the Quad Cities Community Foundation and have the honor of serving all of the Quad Cities beyond. So today I'll just say this is the group that met just a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the live stream and what topic we might do next. And I shared that I'm a part of a program that's doing question answer type formats, and it's really been fun. And a colleague of mine who's actually in business started doing it, and it made a huge difference in her business. So for the positive. So we thought, well, maybe that's what we could try with our Quad City audience and throw out an email or message to gather your questions. What are your questions? What do you want to know about the Quad Cities Community Foundation? And we got some great questions around scholarships and donor advised funds. And so those are what we're going to focus on today. Please know if you don't get your question answered or you want a little bit more information or detail, do not hesitate. Please call us. Our phone number is 563-326-2840, and you can always email us as well. So I think I see on the screen our website, so you can always go there as well to find us. Anyway, I'm going to kick it off with Michelle. And Michelle, do you want to ask the first question and then answer it?
I sure will. So the first question that we got from an investment advisor in our community was asking about scholarships. So if a donor wants to start a scholarship that would award around $1,000 each year, how would the donor need to donate to the fund? How much would the donor need to donate to the fund so it could begin awarding? And I'll just briefly answer that here. Our scholarship funds do need to reach a level of $25,000 before they can begin to award at that annual amount of $1,000. And our scholarship funds, they fall under what we call our endowment funds. And just keeping that super simple, the goal of an endowment fund is for it to last forever. That is the simplest way to explain it. And this can be accomplished by investing that principal and then each year making a grant, in this case, a scholarship, in line with our spending policy and retaining that principal so it can continue to grow and send off that scholarship each year. So that's kind of endowment in a nutshell and how that plays in to a scholarship. And then there was a follow-up question tied to that. The advisor was wondering if the scholarship had to be awarded to students in the Quad Cities, or if it could be awarded to students outside of the immediate Quad Cities region. And I will let Kelly give you some great answers on that one.
Sure, thanks, Michelle. So scholarships, we do have as sort of the standard and most common approach when donors are working with us to create scholarships is that students typically are from the Quad Cities area, particularly Rock Island and Scott counties, but we are able to award scholarships, to different regions and different focus areas that donors are working on or are interested in, I should say, and care about. And then, of course, students can attend college wherever they have their accredited program, whether that's a 4-year college, 2-year college, an accredited trade school, anything that's going to help them in their career. And I'll pick up here on the next question because we're often asked about what donors should consider when they're setting up a scholarship. And we really encourage donors to think about scholarships as making sure that students not only can start their education, but hopefully complete it. So we really encourage scholarships to be renewable and to see students through to the end of whatever that educational program is, so long as they're making good academic progress. We encourage them to be flexible as to maybe when that student is starting. We know in our community we need all different types of education and in order for people to fill all the different kinds of jobs that we have. And we know that while graduating high school seniors are a very important part of that educational piece, moving into their education, we won't fill all those jobs and hit all those educational levels only focusing on them. So we also encourage that scholarships be available to students who are current college students or those who maybe are returning at a different point in their life to get their education. And donors come in with all sorts of reasons for being inspired to create scholarships. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, for most people, it's a way of paying it forward. They may have received a scholarship when they were young, and that made the difference for them and their ability to attend school. So when they get to a point in their life where they're able to gift one themselves, start one for their own family, that offers the same opportunity to the young people who follow them, either from their high school or at the school they appreciate, or maybe even in the field of work that they're in. So people can start one for themselves. They often start one in honor of or in memory of a loved one, like their parents or a grandparent, a sibling, even a child, or a beloved teacher, somebody else they knew who made a difference in their lives. Memorial scholarships are very tender and very special ways to pass on a loved one's memory, and also to share their life's meaning with a new generation. Plenty of scholarships are also started for people who are here today, who have been impactful in somebody's life. So, for example, we have a scholarship that was started in honor of a bus driver in a local school district, because that bus driver really, really, really made a difference in the lives of the students who rode his bus every day. And so we have a bunch of parents who got together to support that scholarship and do something to honor that very special educator. So there's all kinds of reasons people set them up. They all come with a very special story, and it's really important to us that we share those stories with those scholarship recipients so that they value that award and understand and come to know the people who are behind it.
And we're actually going to have a way, we have each year a way for them to directly get to know those folks if they're still living and involved, is we celebrate each year with a scholarship reception for the scholarships we manage directly. This year it will be virtual, hopefully not next year, but we're still looking forward to making sure that recipients, donors, and all the great community volunteers who make up our scholarship committees get to connect and know each other after the great work they've done submitting and reviewing applications.
That's right.
Oh, thank you, team. That was great. Hey, I'm just going to add that, since being with the Quad Cities Community Foundation, I have really come to appreciate the scholarships that we provide to the students, mostly, of course, here in the Quad Cities. Story after story about the difference that scholarship is making, especially as Kelly said, that is with them for all 4 years to help them get through college or the university or wherever they're attending, even the community colleges. It's a difference maker. And again, I think we're the facilitator of that. It's the donors who are really making that difference happen. And when I say we have the honor of serving, I just I think all through, if I think about the Community Foundation and what Kelly and all do to help make those scholarships happen, it's really about making a difference. Anyway, let's move on to donor advised funds. We get a lot of questions. What's a donor advised fund? How do they work? Are they endowed? Are they non-endowed? I mean, so many questions about donor advised funds. And so it's really good here to focus a little bit on donor advised funds. I think we just let our donors and community know last week that we saw a real uptick in donor advised fund activity in meeting the needs of our community and related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know that donor advised funds also is something that we facilitate. It's a tool for our community to invest back in the community and truly make a difference. So, Anne, can you tell us a little bit more about what a donor advised fund is?
Sure, Sherry. Well, as you just said, they're really a tool. They're a charitable giving tool that help people organize their giving for the best benefit for them and for the causes they care about. So people can give to a donor advised fund when they have the money, the assets to do so. And by doing that, they can even take advantage of perhaps a federal deduction for those charitable gifts because they can bundle their gifts together into the donor advised fund in 1 year. And then they can grant it out over successive years to the causes they care about. It's a great way to be able to make a gift now and then decide in a few months or next year and the year after where you want that money to go to which nonprofit or which community effort is happening. For example, last year, we did have a lot of people grant from their donor advised funds to disaster recovery, to all kinds of disaster recovery efforts in the Quad Cities. They also granted to those nonprofits that they've always been with and always cared about to keep those nonprofits going and keep those really vital services flowing to our community here in our region. And they can also grant to nonprofits around the nation. So it's very flexible. We make gifting to those donor advised funds very easy. We also make granting out from them very easy. There's a portal they can log in and request a grant from, recommend their grants from. And then we also partner with them to help them learn about opportunities they could grant to that perhaps they haven't heard about yet. So we support them in that as well. Kelly, could you maybe talk a little bit about how we do that, how we help donors make their grants?
Sure. And exactly as you said, Anne, there is just a continuum of the ways that we can be helpful depending on what that donor is looking for and how they're doing their work. Some folks will come in and they're using that donor advised fund as that convenient tool to organize their charitable giving. They really know what they want to grant to. They'll go to our My Fund system, enter that information. Most nonprofits in the area are in our system, and if not, they give us what information they need. We go find it. Our great grant making and finance teams make those grants happen very swiftly. And then, as you move up that level of perhaps involvement or curiosity about what's going on in education in the Quad Cities, what options would I have to support animal welfare in the Quad Cities? We have a professional and connected staff, as well as, volunteer board members who make it our business, not just on the grant making team, but throughout the organization, to be as connected, as aware as we can in the community of all kinds of different efforts, of all the different kinds of organizations that can be granted to. And while we can't promise to know everything, we at least know who to ask and who to look for if it's something that we're not as aware of. So we can provide a range of different organizations that are doing maybe some of the work that donors are interested in supporting. We can simply kind of provide a short list, or we can, perhaps make some introductions so that they can get to know those organizations better. That's a huge part of the Community Foundation's value, is the connections that we have and the connections that we love to facilitate between people and organizations who are interested in doing good work in the Quad Cities. Michelle, one of the other questions that we regularly get, certainly related to donor advised funds, but really all kinds of funds that folks might set up here, is going back to the first thing you mentioned, which is, investments, and how will my fund be invested? What choices might they have, or what choices might they be interested in making? Can you talk a little bit about, how donors, in addition to growing their fund through making gifts, hopefully in the long run can grow their fund through their investment choices?
Yeah, Kelly, as you said, obviously they can continue to gift to their fund and add to that balance. But another large piece of it is the investment side that is done here at the foundation. We're proud to offer many different investment pools for all of our funds, whether it is a donor advised fund or, an endowed fund, non-endowed fund. So when a donor sets up a donor advised fund, for example, at the Quad Cities Community Foundation, they are given options to choose from how they want their funds invested. And obviously with these different investment strategies come different levels of risk and return. And we have spent, a lot of time, you've probably seen over the last month or two, talking about the positive returns that we have seen here at the Quad Cities Community Foundation over the last couple of years. And just to kind of highlight some of the pools that we offer, we do have our long-term pool. We have our strategic growth pool. We have a socially responsive pool. We have a money market pool and an income pool. So those are the options that donors have to choose from as they set up their fund. And as I mentioned, slightly different goals and strategies with each of those. An example, our long-term pool, obviously that's designed kind of for the longer term. There's lower volatility. You don't see as such high fluctuations. And then comparing that to like our strategic growth pool, you would anticipate a higher return with that one, but there is going to be some more volatility. And that's up to the donor. They can choose their investment strategy that aligns best with the goals they have. And one thing we do offer for our fund holders is that they can change their investment strategy once a year. That's at their discretion. They can let us know if they would prefer their investments in a different pool. And we are happy to make that change for them. So yeah, those are some great options we have here. We're very proud of our investments and the returns, like I said, that we've seen over the last couple years, and would love to talk with you more if you have questions about the different strategies and our prior returns.
Thanks, Michelle. I think I'd be remiss if I at least didn't acknowledge that we have an awesome investment committee, a group of volunteers with expertise and knowledge and experience. They come both from the board as well as outside members on that committee, and they have just done an amazing job in the last several years to really make some changes that we've made that I think benefit the two most important things to the Community Foundation. And actually I shouldn't say number one, because they are both number ones to us, our donors and our communities. So that's who we ultimately want those investments to benefit. So I'm just gonna, Anne, Kelly, Michelle, any last thing, something you wish you would have said about scholarships or donor advice funds or investments or process, anything else that you would like to mention before we say goodbye to our audience. Okay, I kind of put you on. Oh,
Talk about all of these things. So all you have to do is reach out, and it sometimes seems like it might be complicated, but it's really not. We make it all very easy.
That's really what I was going to say, Anne, is, we're mentioning all these choices to make and all these options to explore. And the point is that the Community Foundation staff from all our different teams is here along the way for all of our constituents that are interested in working with us to make sure that we're making the best use of all the charitable resources our community has at its disposal.
This is a group of professionals, not just this group of vice presidents, but all the staff at the Community Foundation are professionals and here to serve and want to work with both our donors and our community. So anyway, so this was our first kind of Q&A type live stream. I hope you've enjoyed this. I want to encourage you. Is there something you want to know about the Community Foundation? Do you have questions about what we do or how we do it? Even if you want to know more about scholarships or more about donor advice funds, be sure to let us know what your questions are. We would love to do this again because we want our live stream opportunity to really give you the information that you need to benefit, the community and our donors. So please let us know what your questions are. Don't hesitate to get in contact with us by email or phone. You can call any one of us. I'd love to hear from you. I'm telling you, everybody on the screen gets calls but me. I don't get many calls anymore now. I probably just set myself up. Now you're all going to call me. But anyway, I would love to hear from you. So with that, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Anne and Michelle. And a special thanks to all of you who came on to Facebook and YouTube to watch our live stream today. Thank you. Bye-bye.